The wheels of her suitcase hummed softly against the hardwood floor as she walked in, her heels clicking with an almost melodic rhythm. Clara was glowing, her radiant smile brighter than I'd seen in years. She dropped her bag by the door, shrugged off her coat, and breezed into the living room like a woman walking on air. "Hi, honey," she sang, her voice syrupy sweet. "I missed you." I set down the mug of coffee I'd been nursing for the better part of the afternoon. The envelope sat on the coffee table in front of me, its crisp edges and the faint scent of paper filling the otherwise silent room. I glanced at her, offering a tight smile. "Welcome home," I replied, my voice calm. Too calm. She leaned down to kiss my cheek. I turned just slightly, letting her lips graze the air. A flicker of something crossed her face. Confusion, maybe, but it was gone in an instant. Clara was good at erasing emotions she didn't want others to see. That's how she'd fooled me for so long. "How was the trip?" I asked, leaning back into the couch, my tone steady as though I were asking about the weather. "Oh, it was great," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Busy, but rewarding. I think the client's really happy with our presentation." "That's wonderful," I replied. She started unpacking her purse, pulling out her phone, a lipstick, and the other usual items she always carried. That's when her gaze landed on the envelope. Her movements stilled, her eyes narrowed ever so slightly, the sparkle dimming just a touch. "What's that?" she asked. "Something you should probably read," I said, gesturing to it. "Go ahead." Her fingers hovered over the envelope for a moment before she picked it up. She glanced at me, her smile still plastered on, but it didn't reach her eyes anymore. She opened the envelope and pulled out the neatly folded pages inside. Her eyes scanned the first line, then the next, and I watched as the color drained from her face. "What is this?" she whispered. I crossed one leg over the other, resting an arm along the back of the couch. "It's a transcript of your text messages," I said. "With Greg." Her head snapped up, her eyes wide with panic. I don't know what you mean." "Don't insult my intelligence, Clara," I said, my voice finally sharpening. I know about the hotel, the weekend trips, the business dinners. I know everything." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Her hands trembled as she clutched the papers. How did you?" she stammered. "It doesn't matter how," I said. "What matters is that it's over." "Over?" she repeated, her voice cracking. "What are you talking about?" I stood, my height towering over her as I looked down at Clara. "This marriage, this charade, all of it. You've been lying to me for months, maybe longer. I've been patient, I've been kind, and this is how you repay me." Her lips quivered, tears welled in her eyes, but I felt no pity. "Not anymore. James, please," she begged. "Let us talk about this. I can explain." "Explain," I said, laughing bitterly. "What could you possibly explain, Clara? That you felt neglected? That you needed attention? Fine. But you chose betrayal. And now you'll face the consequences." Her tears began to fall in earnest now, but I turned away, walking toward the kitchen. "Do you want a drink?" I asked over my shoulder. "You might need it." She didn't answer. She just stood there, clutching the papers, her breath hitching with silent sobs. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, savoring the burn as it slid down my throat. Clara was still rooted to the spot when I returned to the living room. "You don't have to do this," she said finally, her voice trembling. "Oh, but I do," I replied. I set the whiskey down and picked up a second envelope from the coffee table. "You see, Clara, I've been busy while you've been occupied." I handed her the envelope. This one contained divorce papers. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, you can't mean this." "I've never meant anything more," I said. "You'll find everything is in order. The house will be sold, and the proceeds split. Your car is yours, and I've already removed my name from the title. I've even arranged for your things to be packed and sent to your sister's place." "James, please," she cried, reaching for my arm. "We can work through this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. I pulled my arm away, my face hard. Anything? The time for anything was before you decided to tear us apart. I'm done, Clara. You can't manipulate me anymore. Her shoulders sagged, and she sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I felt a pang of something. Maybe grief for what we once had, or maybe just relief that I was finally free. Either way, I didn't waver. You'll find a moving truck outside, I said. The driver will wait for you to pack whatever you need tonight. The rest will be delivered tomorrow. And Clara? She looked up, her mascara streaked across her cheeks. Don't contact me again, I said. This is goodbye. I grabbed my keys and walked out the door, leaving her in the ruins of her own making. Outside, the air was crisp and cool, carrying the faint scent of rain. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like I could breathe. The car ride was quiet, the hum of the engine the only sound. I drove to the beach, parking near the shore and stepping out onto the sand. The sun was setting, casting the world in hues of gold and crimson. It was beautiful, peaceful, the kind of peace I'd been craving. As the waves lapped at my feet, I let the memories of Clara wash away with them. There was pain, yes, but there was also hope. Hope for a future unburdened by lies and betrayal. The glow she'd come home with was gone now. And for the first time, I felt like I was the one truly shining.